Chapter 8, Addressing Skeptics' Common Objections to Idealism. Idealism, with its bold claim that reality is a mental creation, often meets with skepticism, especially in a world so deeply rooted in materialist assumptions. Let's imagine a skeptic sitting across from you at a cafe, their coffee steaming between you, their brow furrowed as they challenge the ideas we've been exploring. They lean forward, their voice firm, but curious, and say, "This idea that the world is all in the mind, it sounds like a fantasy. The physical world feels so real, so solid. I can touch this table, hear the clink of my cup, see the people around us. How can you say it's not physical? And if reality is just consciousness, why is it so consistent? Why doesn't the table disappear when I stop looking at it? And what about science? Doesn't it prove the world is physical?" These are valid questions, ones that deserve thoughtful answers, and idealism has compelling responses that can bridge the gap between skepticism and understanding. Let's start with the first objection, the apparent solidity of the physical world. The skeptic's point is intuitive after all. The table feels hard under your hand, the coffee cup is heavy, the chair creaks when you shift your weight. These sensations seem to confirm a physical reality, one that exists independently of your mind. But idealism doesn't deny the reality of these experiences, it redefines what they are. The table's hardness, the cup's weight, the chair's creak, they're not proof of a physical world, they're perceptions in your consciousness, vivid and consistent, because they're part of a shared mental reality. Think about a dream for a moment. In a vivid dream, you might touch a table and feel its solidity, hear a cup clink, sit in a chair that creaks. It all feels real while you're dreaming, but it's all a creation of your mind. Idealism suggests that waking life is like a shared dream, held together by a universal consciousness. The solidity you feel isn't evidence of physical matter, it's evidence of the consistency of mental perception, a consistency that makes the dream feel real. The second objection is about that consistency. If reality is mental, why doesn't it change when you stop perceiving it? The skeptic might point out that when they leave the cafe and return later, the table is still there, the chairs haven't moved, the room looks the same. In a materialist view, this consistency is proof of an independent physical world, one that persists whether you're looking at it or not. Idealism, however, has a different explanation, one rooted in the idea of a universal mind. Historical idealists like George Berkeley address this directly, arguing that the world remains consistent because it's perceived by a greater consciousness. Berkeley called this God, a divine mind that holds all perceptions together. When you leave the cafe, the table doesn't disappear because the universal consciousness continues to perceive it, maintaining its existence within the shared dream. Modern idealists might frame this differently, suggesting that the universal mind operates with patterns and laws like the laws of physics that ensure consistency across individual perceptions, creating a stable reality we can all experience together. The third objection centers on science. Doesn't it prove the world is physical? The skeptic might point to experiments, like those in physics or biology, that measure particles, forces, and cells, all of which seem to confirm a material reality. They might mention gravity, which keeps the coffee cup on the table, or the chemical reactions in your brain that let you taste the coffee. Aren't these physical processes? Idealism doesn't reject science, it reinterprets it. The laws of physics, the particles we measure, the reactions we observe, they're not evidence of a physical world, they're patterns within the universal consciousness, mental constructs that govern the shared dream. Gravity isn't a physical force, it's a consistent perception, a rule within the cosmic mind that ensures the cup stays on the table. Science, in this view, isn't studying a physical reality, it's studying the structure of consciousness, the way the universal mind organizes its dream. This perspective doesn't undermine science, it expands its scope, inviting us to see scientific discoveries as insights into the nature of mind, not matter. These objections highlight the challenge of shifting from a materialist to an idealist worldview, but they also show how idealism can address skepticism with clarity and depth. The solidity of the world, its consistency, and the findings of science, they're not contradictions to idealism, they're part of its framework, explained through the lens of a universal consciousness. This understanding can help skeptics see idealism not as a rejection of reality, but as a deeper way of understanding it, one that places consciousness at the heart of existence. As we move through this chapter, we'll explore these ideas further, offering tools to engage with skepticism in a way that opens new possibilities for thought and experience. The consistency of reality. Let's dive deeper into one of the skeptic's strongest objections, the consistency of reality. This is a question that often trips people up when they first encounter idealism, and it's worth exploring in detail because it gets to the heart of how idealism reimagines the world. Picture yourself back in that cafe with the skeptic, the hum of conversation around you, the scent of coffee in the air. The skeptic leans forward, their eyes sharp, and says, "If reality is just a mental creation, why is it so consistent? I can leave this cafe, go home, come back tomorrow, and the table will still be here. The chairs will be in the same place. The barista will remember my order. If this is all in my mind, why doesn't it change when I'm not looking? Why doesn't the table turn into a dragon or disappear entirely?" It's a fair question, one that challenges the idealist view, but idealism has a robust answer that can turn this objection into an opportunity for deeper understanding. The consistency of reality feels like proof of a physical world, because we're so used to thinking in materialist terms. In a materialist view, the table is a physical object, made of wood or metal, existing independently of your perception. It's there when you leave, because it's a solid thing, governed by physical laws that don't depend on your mind. When you return to the cafe, the table hasn't moved, because physical objects don't just vanish or transform on their own. This explanation makes intuitive sense. It's how we've been taught to see the world since childhood. But idealism offers a different perspective, one that explains this consistency without relying on a physical reality. In idealism, the table's consistency isn't evidence of its physicality, it's evidence of the structure of the universal consciousness, the shared mental reality we all participate in. Historical idealists like George Berkeley tackled this question head-on, and his answer still resonates today. Imagine Berkeley in his study in 18th century Ireland, his quill scratching across the page as he wrote about the nature of existence. He argued that the world remains consistent because it's perceived by a universal mind, what he called God, an infinite consciousness that holds all things in existence. When you leave the cafe, the table doesn't disappear because the universal mind continues to perceive it, maintaining its presence within the shared dream. This divine perceiver ensures that the world doesn't change arbitrarily, creating a stable reality that all individual minds can experience together. Modern idealists might frame this differently, without invoking a religious concept, but the core idea remains. The universal consciousness operates with patterns and rules that ensure consistency, much like the laws of physics in a materialist view. But these are mental laws, not physical ones. Let's explore this with a metaphor. Think of reality as a multiplayer video game, one where millions of players are logged in, experiencing the same virtual world. In the game, there's a cafe with a table, chairs, and a barista. When you log out of the game, the cafe doesn't disappear, it's still there for the other players, maintained by the game server, which runs the simulation continuously. The server ensures that the table stays in place, the chairs don't move, and the barista remembers your order, creating a consistent experience for everyone. In idealism, the universal consciousness is like that server, holding the shared mental reality together, ensuring that the game of reality remains stable even when you're not directly perceiving it. The table doesn't turn into a dragon, because the universal mind follows patterns, mental laws that keep the dream coherent, just as a game's code keeps the virtual world consistent. This explanation can help skeptics see that consistency doesn't require a physical world, it requires a structured consciousness, one that operates with rules we can rely on. The laws of physics, the predictability of nature, the stability of objects, they're not evidence of a material reality, they're evidence of the universal mind's order, the way it organizes the shared dream we call reality. This perspective doesn't just address the skeptic's objection, it deepens our appreciation for the nature of consciousness, showing how it creates a world that's both stable and wondrous, a dream we can live in with confidence and awe. A dialogue with the skeptics. Let's bring these ideas to life with a fictional dialogue, a conversation between you and a skeptic that explores these objections in a personal, relatable way. Imagine you're sitting on a park bench with your friend Alex, the sun warm on your face, the sound of children playing in the distance. Alex has been listening to you talk about idealism, but he's not convinced. He turns to you, his tone a mix of curiosity and doubt, and says, "I get that you're excited about this idealism stuff, but it doesn't make sense to me. The world feels so real. I can touch this bench, feel the sun, hear the kids. How can you say it's all in the mind? And if it is, why doesn't it change when I'm not looking? What about science? Doesn't it prove the world is physical?" You take a deep breath, feeling the bench beneath you, and respond, "I know it sounds strange at first, but let's think about your experience. When you touch the bench, you're not directly experiencing a physical object, you're experiencing a sensation in your consciousness, a feeling of hardness, warmth, texture. That sensation isn't out there, it's in your mind, a perception. Idealism doesn't say the bench isn't real, it says its reality is mental, not physical. It's like a dream. When you dream, things feel solid, but it's all in your mind. Waking life might be a shared dream, held together by a universal consciousness. Alex frowns, kicking a pebble with his shoe. Okay, but why doesn't the bench disappear when I leave the park? If it's just in my mind, shouldn't it change? You nod, understanding his point. That's where the universal consciousness comes in, you say. It's like a cosmic server, holding the shared reality together. When you leave, the bench stays, because the universal mind keeps perceiving it, following patterns like the laws of physics that make the world consistent for all of us. It's not your individual mind holding it, it's the greater mind we're all part of. He raises an eyebrow. And science? Gravity, biology, chemistry, they all seem pretty physical to me. You smile, pointing to the sun. Science studies patterns, right? Gravity keeps us on the ground. Biology explains how our bodies work. But idealism says those patterns are mental, not physical. Gravity isn't a physical force, it's a rule in the universal consciousness, a consistent perception that keeps the dream stable. Science isn't proving a physical world, it's uncovering the structure of the cosmic mind. Alex leans back, thoughtful as a breeze rustles the leaves above. I'll have to think about that, he says, and you nod, knowing that idealism's answers can open new doors, even for the most skeptical minds. Original exercise. Reframing reality. Let's engage with skepticism directly through a practical exercise I've created. Reframing reality. This exercise will help you address your own doubts by seeing the world through an idealist lens, perfect for an audiobook narration. Find a quiet moment and pick an object in your surroundings, maybe a book on your shelf, a mug on your desk, or a tree outside your window. Take a deep breath and observe the object closely, noticing its details, the texture of the book's cover, the curve of the mug's handle, the pattern of the tree's bark. Now, ask yourself, is this object physical, or is it a perception in my consciousness? Feel its solidity, hear any sounds it makes, notice its colors, then remind yourself that these sensations are happening in your mind, not out there. The book's weight, the mug's warmth, the tree's rustle, they're mental experiences, part of the universal consciousness you're tapping into. Imagine the object as a dream image, held in place by the cosmic mind, consistent because of the patterns that govern the shared reality. Reflect on how this shift changes your experience. Does the object feel less separate, more connected to you, as part of the same consciousness? This exercise can help you move past skepticism by experiencing idealism directly, seeing the world as a mental creation, a shared dream you're part of. Try it whenever doubts arise, letting it deepen your understanding of the reality idealism reveals.